My next guest is Conor McGuire from Ballina, County Mayo, and the setting for his debut novel, The Hunger House. Now, the book was launched in Ballina Arts Centre by writer and broadcaster Vincent Woods and is being well received. It's available on Amazon, and the link is on our website, irishradio.org. To tell us more, I'm pleased to welcome the man himself, Conor, online. Conor, great to speak to you.
Hi, Jerry. How are you?
Not bad at all.
Good to speak to you. Yeah.
Same as that, Conor. Now, Conor, we look at the Hunger House plot shortly.
Yes.
However, I'm interested in your background. Your work as an artist is, of course, in the creative field. But your late father, Jim McGuire, led you into writing, I believe.
Yeah. Well, Dad was a journalist of long standing and worked for various publications, but was editor of the Western People, which is a Mayo paper, for many, many years. And he wrote a column well into his retirement, and he actually was the longest serving journalist in Ireland when he did pass away 3 years ago. But like that, when he became less able, if you like, physically, he needed help with his column and that. So my brother and I used to correct it and send it to the paper. So I suppose I became familiar with the process. So it was no great leap for me, if you like, to actually start writing myself. So that was the genesis of my writing.
Right now, writing for the Western People and the information gathering was a sort of a natural progression to the local landscape, and people being central to your first book.
Absolutely, yeah.
A work of historical fiction. Give us a brief insight into the Hunger House, the time in which it's set, storyline.
Yeah. Well, my family background on my mother's side would have been associated with the workhouse, which was a real workhouse in Ballina that was knocked down in the 1930s, but was a very dominant structure in Ballina for many years. And so I'd heard stories through my maternal grandmother and aunts and everything about it. You know, so they sort of insinuated themselves into my imagination, if you like. And so I always wanted to write something down. So when I went to actually finally decided to do it, I was thinking in terms of the famine. But really, the famine was so unrelentingly awful when I did the research. There was nothing in it by way of romance or humour or levity or all the other things that would make a read interesting. So sort of in desperation, I went back further and went pre-famine. And I was totally surprised by what I discovered, and the society and the culture that existed in pre-famine Ireland. It was a revelation, and that's where the book grew out of. You know? Right.
So we're talking about it's sort of set pre-famine times.
Yeah, 1838 and around there, just before the events of the famine. And as I say, I was ignorant of it because that period has been overshadowed by the tragedy of the famine. But you have to realise that at that time, Mayo had twice the population that it has even now, and Ballina, where I'm from and where the book is set, had a very vibrant port at the quay, which had over 100 ships permanently stationed there. And Ballina itself, they just built 2 bridges. They were building a cathedral. There was new roads going in. There was new industries. There was even tobacco manufacturing, linen. There was the export of fish, the export of pork to London, to France. It was an amazingly vibrant place, which totally surprised me, you know.
Right, now Bridget, the matron in the workhouse is the main character. Who is she based on, and how did you...
She's based on my great-great-grandmother. Now, she wouldn't have been the first matron of the place, but she, I think, the second matron, and her husband, Bridget and William McLaughlin. And my own grandmother, who lived to a ripe old age of 103, when I was much younger, I remember her telling stories of the workhouse because she would have been there daily, you know, visiting, and was familiar with the whole workings. So I had that basis in terms of character, and because naturally my grandmother wasn't that far removed from Bridget McLaughlin, so by extension, their personalities were probably quite similar. So much of the character of Bridget is based on my grandmother, you know, and then the rest naturally is fiction.
Right.
It's fleshed out with fiction, yeah.
Right. Conor, now, no doubt for the time being. It's back to your paintings after this, which are inspired by the fabric of the west of Ireland, both the landscape and the people. Tell us what you actually capture in your paintings.
Well, I'm a landscape painter by one of my professions, if you like. I do graphic design as well, but I've returned more and more to landscape painting, and I've just had an exhibition with Liam Jones and other Ballina artists in Ballina and Caffrey's Gallery, and that's gone very well. And I sell online, and if you Google me, Conor McGuire painting, I come up all over the place, and it's the landscape and the people of the west of Ireland that are my subject matter. And so it was a natural progression when I did the book to describe the landscape in the book in a sort of a painterly way, which people seem to react to and like, because it brings them back. You know, if you're an expat or you're from Mayo, you'd recognise the places and the landscape and the features in the landscape. So it's interesting to go from the paintbrush to the pen to describe.
Right. Now, you're a busy man. Will you be able to fit in some more writing, perhaps, for people who've read the Hunger House?
Yeah.
They'll be looking for some more.
Well, that's one of the reactions to it. I have three main characters in it. They're women from different circumstances who interact around the workhouse. But I left the end of the story quite open, so that with in mind that I could extend it into another book. And that's the question I've been getting from people: is that what happens next? And people are like, God, I really enjoyed the characters, but I want to know what happens to them. And so I've left the door open to develop the three characters, and any one of them will provide a book, but it's in my head, put it that way, and I know where I want to go with it, but I will probably do what I did last year, which is write during the dark evenings and do it over the winter months leading up to January, February.
Right.
So that's... Yeah.
The reviews on Amazon are overwhelmingly positive, and we'll be adding our own there. Now, I know you're keen for readers to add further comments, and for anyone listening who can support distribution, to get in touch. Now, your email address is conorfrancis@gmail.com. Conor, you'd welcome reviews and any openings for getting exposure for your book.
Yeah. I self-published, and it's been a learning curve. For my second book, God willing, I'd know much better how to go about it. But it's a difficult thing to get distribution, to get into markets, and it's something you learn as you go. And while I've been very successful in Ireland, I'd love to get into the British market. But again, it's so difficult because I'm not familiar with how it works in Britain, but it's available on Amazon, so we see how it goes. But I'd welcome any bookshops that would like to stock it, because I think it would be of great interest to.
Well, details of the Hunger House are on our website, irishradio.org, and your email once again is conorfrancis with an I at gmail.com. Conor, thank you indeed for giving us an insight and details on the book, and indeed on your good self. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very, very much, Sherry. Thank you for taking the call. Okay. Bye-bye.